introduce myself. My name is Amanda Butler, and I'm a Composition 2 student at St. John's River State College. Today, I will be discussing offshore oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico and why it is not an appropriate way to keep up with the world's ever-increasing demand for oil. The reason I chose this subject is because it seems to be a pressing issue in today's political world, and I hope that other young people will not only understand the pros, but the cons to offshore oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico as well. Alright, let's start. I'm going to start off with history of the Gulf of Mexico because unfortunately it has a sad and troubled history with oil spills. Right here I have a picture of the BP Petroleum Deepwater Horizon accident of April 24th, 2010. As you can see, it's on fire and they're working on putting it out. 11 men died and several more were injured during this explosion. It is estimated that approximately 200 million gallons of crude oil were spilt into the Gulf of Mexico environment. This is the equivalent to 5 oil tankers. It took a very long time for them to cap the well due to varying water and hydrocarbon pressure flows. This increased amount of oil into the environment lasted for 3 months. Here I have a satellite picture of the oil spill. And as you can see here, it's almost the size of a hurricane. It's a lot of oil to be spilled out into our Gulf environment. That's quite a bit of oil. Mental stress was something that's very important to look at when looking at oil spills in the Gulf of Mexico. During the British Petroleum Deepwater Horizon accident, a lot of people lost their jobs, especially those in the fishing and tourist industries. I have a couple of pictures here of protesters. Here are 2 girls, and I kind of found a little bit of comic relief in this, but you understand the point that they're getting at. Imagine if you were to wake up tomorrow morning and your front lawn was covered in oil. And for these people, especially those that lived along the beaches, this was the case. They woke up one morning and, well, their oceans were covered in oil. Global warming also plays a critical role when looking at oil spills in the Gulf of Mexico. Here I have a picture of weathered oil. Weathered oil occurs when the tide, sunlight, and air beat all upon the oil and it disperses just like that. It's kind of a nasty mess. What happens is these increased amount of hydrocarbons get evaporated into the atmosphere. This leads to breakdown of the ozone layer and our protection from UV rays. Another worry by the EPA was the Mississippi Delta. During the BP oil spill, oil drained all the way up into these basins and all around the country. And as you can see, it actually goes into southern parts of Canada. So this didn't just affect the United States. Here's a picture of a beach along Pensacola right after the British Petroleum oil spill. And as you can see, it's a terrible, nasty mess there. It took them several days to clear all the oil out. What happens when oil washes to shore like this is that the sunlight is attracted to the oil and the temperature of the beach gets raised. This hurts and damages a very important plant life and animal life as well, and it obviously distorts the appearance of the beach. Here I have a picture of some dead animals that washed ashore. What happens when water temperature rises, it allows algal blooms to grow, and it essentially gives a red tide effect. And there you can see where all the fish have washed up to shore. And of course, this is also going to come back to putting a damper on the fishing industry. Now I'm going to discuss how oil impacts the marine food chain. Here I have a picture of a shrimp, and I'm no doctor, but I don't think that would be very healthy to consume. You can see the tail where it's all covered in oil there. And just like how mercury spreads through the fish in the oceans, well, this is a very similar process. these oil and chemical dispersants get released during the spill, and then these shellfish, such as clams, oysters, and periwinkles, incorporate it into their shell. It actually can change their genetic makeup, and instead of building their shells out of calcium carbonate, they build them out of these toxic substances, such as nickel and cadmium. Oil spills affect mostly animals. And here we have a picture of a happy sea turtle just swimming along. This is before oil. And this is the sea turtle after oil. And of course there is a huge difference there. Unfortunately, you can tell where the oil has actually put ulcers right along there and started to erode portions of the shell. This turtle probably will not survive that oil experience. Here I have a picture of a dolphin, and you can see where the blowhole is completely clear, and it is just swimming along, minding its own business. It's happy, it's healthy, it's oil-free. Here's a picture of several dolphins after an oil spill, and you can see how the oil has caught into the blowholes and has actually led to suffocation because they cannot breathe properly. And you can see where the oil is mixed in with the tide there, and it's just a nasty mess for all the creatures involved. Here I have another picture of a dolphin. This one's a little bit more up close and personal, and you can see where there's an ulcer starting to appear right underneath, right there along the neckline, and you can actually see where the blowhole is starting to get clogged with oil, which will lead to suffocation. Here I have a picture of a bird, a brown pelican. And this brown pelican is happy sitting there, probably looking for fish to eat or something along those lines. This is a brown pelican after oiling. And for birds, their feathers actually cling to oil more so than other animals, and this prevents them from flying. If they can't fly, they can't find food. It also creates temperature differentials, and they cannot always keep themselves warm. So a lot of these birds will die because of this. Here I have a picture of a laughing gull, and it's just flying along, probably looking for food. And now I have a picture of a laughing gull after oil. And this one it appears to be dead, so it didn't make it. And this is unfortunately what happens to these animals when exposed to oil. It can lead to severe permanent injuries and or lead to death. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a presentation here. I have a bird feather that's covered in oil, and then I have a bird feather that's completely clean, and as you can see the difference. Here I have a mixture of Dawn dish soap and water, which is often something they use to clean the animals with after an oil spill. And I'm going to take this brush, and I'm going to demonstrate just how hard it is to actually clean an animal. Now, if this was in real life, I would have to be very careful of abrasions, ulcers, broken bones, and I would have to be very gentle. And as you can see, I'm just starting out from the base of the stem right here, and I'm going in circular motions out, washing, clearing off all the oil. This can take up to several hours to clean up just one animal. And you can see how I'm not making a whole lot of progress here. It can take several hours, and a lot of these animals actually never completely get all the oil off of them. Some of them die in the process. And as you can see there, I've not done a whole lot to clean off that feather. Here is a picture of a beach that's been affected with oil, and people protesting decided to write toxic on it. Other problems involved in oil spills are health concerns. Children are more infected than adults are, and as you can see, this little girl is very stressed out.
by the oil appearance coming up on the beach, and she's probably already seen many dead animals washed ashore at this point. The pediatric health unit really does emphasize that stress on children is the worst health effect of oil. However, it is said that because of children's smaller weight, that the toxins can spread more efficiently throughout the body. Also, children with asthma are at greater risk because their lungs are very sensitive and these release all kinds of toxic vapors. Next, I'm going to go into the marine food chain and how it was contaminated and how this affects seafood. Right here you have a crab walking through a lovely puddle of oil there, and as you can see, this is not going to be appropriate to eat. This picture was actually taken after the British petroleum oil spill in 2010, and actually the state health departments and FDA did not declare it healthy for seafood to be consumed in these areas for a good 3 to 4 months after the spill, so this can really affect fishermen and as well as the food chain. Here I have a picture of fish that are all completely caked in oil, and obviously you cannot eat that. And in conclusion, oil spills can be detrimental to the environment, and this is why offshore oil drilling really just isn't the best way to meet America's ever-increasing demand for oil. That's it. Thank you for watching.